Hoodie on? Hoodie. I'll take the hoodie off because it's cool and then you can see Androids in the background. Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Welcome to another episode of Android Weekly. This will be the last one of 2012. Will you guys miss me? Probably not, because we'll start next week at 2013. So there you go. Insert "we didn't die" joke for, the whole 2012 nonsense. Alright, let's start with our first article. Google Maps causes a huge spike in iOS 6 updates. Yes, actually, one of the main reasons people did not update to iOS 6 was indeed in fact because they didn't want to lose their Google Maps and their YouTube app. Now that Google's finally on both on iOS 6, people are jumping towards it. Actually, they observed since Google Maps landed on iOS 6, 30% increase of iOS 6 users. So that's pretty big. It showed that people really didn't want to jump on the whole iOS maps and Apple Maps just because, obviously, they weren't good. So I thought that was funny because this past week I had a lot of fanboys defending, Apple is their first maps, like you should cut them some slack. How can you compare them to Google Maps? Because it's what's currently on the market. That's how you compare it. It's like Google Maps had to go against MapQuest when it first came out, and they were called bad until they got to the phones. That's when they greatly improved. So, when they were at the phones, they were better than MapQuest. That's how you compare them. You compare products to what's out on the market. That's like saying, they came up with a new style of analog. Why are you comparing it to digital? Because it's what's out on the market. That's why you compare it. Alright. Now, normally Google and Apple are always, butting heads. But, they have supposedly teamed up successfully to purchase patents for a little over $500 million from Kodak. So it was over $500 million, and the company had a lot of patents. I'm trying to see if they have a number about how many. No number exactly how many, but they basically teamed up and they got Kodak patents. Now, of course, they have not disclosed, who got what patents and everything like that. It's probably just that they both mutually can use them. But obviously, this deters a lot of people from being able to say, well, you can't use these Kodak, because it has to do with a lot with cameras. So that way, everyone has access to a lot of camera applications that they might have been sued over if they hadn't owned the patents. So there you go. And let's go to the next one. Apple is again doing pretty bad in court. Their pinch to zoom patent was just invalidated by the USPTO. So this is the international organization that basically just considered theirs just basically no merit, which is pretty interesting because for those of you who didn't know, the $1 billion lawsuit that Apple won against Samsung should now be completely thrown out. They won on two main patents. One was the bounce patent. When you scroll all the way up, it bounces. That was considered invalid in the US. Therefore, it cannot be used in a legal court system. So, that's one down. Second one was the pinch to zoom one. So, that was just considered invalid by the World Trade, I forget what exactly they spell out, but basically it was just considered, invalid by the world court system, in a sense. So, that is now invalid too. So, both of the patents that Apple won Samsung over are now considered invalid. They did not actually win for any physical, copying of their, of how their interface looked or how their tablets or phones looked. They did not win any patents on that. So that's what's pretty interesting here is that you have now everything that Apple won taken away in the court system. So hopefully the judge will realize that and not just let it go to appeals court, because if it goes to appeals court, these patents are already invalid. So why is it going any further? But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And of course they have two more courts coming up. One's in the summer where Samsung is suing Apple for all their new products, for the LT patents and other patents, and Apple is suing Samsung for all of their new products. Again, the first court only went up to the Galaxy S2, nothing after that, not even the Note 1. So these new cords will have all the new electronics out. And, Verizon. Little hypocritical, Verizon. Definitely a double standard, and we knew it was going to be. The thing that upset most techs was that Verizon was basically BSing. So Verizon just came out with ISIS mobile payment. Now this can only be used, I remember, in like really very few areas right now at the moment. But the main thing is that this uses NFC technology, which Verizon said the reason why they didn't want Google Wallet being on there is because they have a secure. They have access to a secure element, and in the description of ISIS, they're saying it allows you to make mobile payments with a secure element, meaning that it uses NFC. So they said Google Wallet wasn't going to be allowed on Verizon phones for the time being because they use NFC essentially, and now they have ISIS, which does use NFC as well. The thing is of course Verizon is a big backer of ISIS, so really it was just kind of like they didn't want it to be on their phones, which is really bad. I mean, I can understand them not allowing Google Wallet to be on there natively, like not on the App Store. But the fact is they blocked the APK itself, and that's really bad. That means you can't even sideload the app because Google Wallet, apologizes and tells you, look, unfortunately, this is an invalid device to use for Google Wallet. So I think this is really lame of Verizon. I think they should, equal standards, equal practices, and let the consumer decide whether they want to use Google Wallet or ISIS. I think the real reason why the word is because Google Wallet is preferred over ISIS. ISIS will gain a lot of momentum, don't get me wrong, but people trust Google, especially when it comes to their credit cards, I feel, more than Verizon or Sprint or AT&T not Sprint. Not Sprint. T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and I believe even Walmart, Best Buy, all of these people back up ISIS. The point is that I think a lot more people would rely on Google and trusting their information compared to these companies, simply because Google has obviously not betrayed our trust with a lot of these kind of things, whereas other companies, we can't trust them as much. Apple, Google, and Microsoft are all vying for a home automation company. So it's really interesting because this company called R2 Studios basically is a home automation system. Now, home automation is basically, think of being able to control your house with an Android phone or a tablet. These actual capabilities are already available. I actually have a friend who did his office where he can, he could be driving somewhere and he can turn the lights on and off of his office with his Android phone, or turn the security alarm on, all that kind of stuff. All these kind of things that you can program with it. So it's really nice. Of course, the end result is, for people that are certified in techies and everything like that to be able to do the same thing. And right now, it's very much in the small business owned areas where you can do this and set this up. So people that have this kind of experience is really great. Android, of course, has already said that in a couple of years they do want to do Android at home, which is the same kind of concept. So you can go into your house, and my friend explained to me this is already possible. And basically, I could, unlock my door with my phone. I can even use NFC to unlock my door. Or I can, turn the TV on in one room, or I can turn, AC on in one room and not in the others, or turn lights on and off in certain rooms. So these things are all possible with your Android devices, which is, of course, really nice, the fact that you're able to do this. So it's pretty interesting that all these things are available. And, of course, the other company that has an early start on this is Samsung, simply because Samsung has a product in every room in your house. Samsung, has, I don't think bathrooms. but I could be wrong. But you know, Samsung has appliances, so kitchen, laundry rooms. They have appliances for that. They have TVs, they have computers, they have tablets, they have laptops, they have desktops. All these different devices that can be controlled with another, really. So you can control everything using your phone or your tablet, and control all of your devices at your home. Right now, Samsung has the capability to basically turn off the laundry machine while you're somewhere else entirely. So that's really cool that we're getting to this age where this is going to be possible soon. And all three companies, Apple, Google, and Microsoft, are looking into these kind of companies that already offer this to possibly buy them out. All right. Of course, one thing that was released a couple weeks back was talks of Samsung pushing out a premium suite. Now, the premium suite will make the Galaxy S3 a lot more like the Note 2, which means that you will essentially have the ability to do things like multi-view, best faces, a lot of these extra cool features that the Note 2 has, it will be bringing to the S3. Now, this is really impressive by Samsung, simply for the fact that they are staying true to constantly updating their devices, which, you know, Android was pretty bad at 2 years ago. Even a little over a year ago, they weren't that good at it. But companies have, certain manufacturers, I would say not all of them, but have realized that you need to update your devices. Sony, I would say, is still not one of them. LG, I would say, is still not one of them. Yes, LG has the Nexus now, but, you know, on all their other devices, they have not been really good about updating. And HTC has even fallen off a little bit. Asus is very quick to update, and Samsung, for most of their products within the past year, they've gotten pretty good at updating. The Note, the Galaxy S3, the Note 2, the Note 10.1, everywhere but the US has been updated really quickly. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting. With the Premium Suite, though, it was released in the UK, and it's already being released. So hopefully in the US it comes soon. I know a lot of my friends, as well as myself, I mean, I have the Note 2 and the S3. But, you know, as far as the S3, I would love to have things like multi-view and things like that available on it. So I would really welcome the change. Of course, I'm on Verizon, so I'll be dead last. And I'll explain why later. Other news on Verizon, actually. Verizon's Redbox Instant app was just released for beta on iOS and Android. And if you haven't heard, this is basically going to be a direct competitor of Netflix. And the whole idea behind Redbox Instant is that it'll be for $8 a month. So I think that's the same price as Netflix, if I remember correctly. So you have $8 a month, and not only do you get unlimited streaming and everything like that, but you also get 4 free DVD rentals at a Redbox kiosk. So if you're one of those people that already use Redbox, this is something you should definitely look into, because it includes 4 free rentals. However, they're allowing you to do something without a subscription service. So even if you just wanted to test this out, you can do a digital download for 99 cents. Or, as low as 99 cents. Which is really cool, so you can see, you know, if it really has the videos you want, and you can download the app without actually being a subscriber. So, I will be testing out Redbox Instant to see what they have to offer, because Redbox Kiosk do get lots of movies before Netflix does. However, will their streaming be the same? That remains to be seen, and that's what I want to find out. HTC has been out of the tablet game for a while, but they may release a Windows RT tablet in 2013, supposedly. So it's interesting to see how HTC will do entering back into the market. I think they have done a great step with the Droid DNA. I think it's a promising device. I think they still need to work on battery life, though. It's one thing that they're not doing very well. And the other thing is, I think they're trying to be too much like the Apple and Android area, where they don't care about battery life, they don't care about expandable memory, and they don't care about removing a battery. That's really like Apple, and the main reason why people leave Apple to go to Android is because you don't have as many limitations, but HTC is really kind of still leaving those limitations there. One thing about the Droid DNA that I don't like is it only has 11 gigs of built-in memory. I mean, 11 gigs is not definitely going to be great for any heavy user, and I wouldn't recommend it for that reason. That's the main reason I don't recommend the HTC. So hopefully they'll get on a better path. Windows RT is an interesting position that they would put themselves in. I think they're trying to go into the Windows realm right now because they haven't been doing that well on Android, and I think they're just trying to not put all their eggs in one basket. As opposed to Samsung, who's done really good at it, I feel that they are trying to. I mean, they did release the Ativ S, but I feel like they're trying to hold off on Windows just because they're doing so well on Android, and then they still have the Bata overseas, which is their own OS. So they have lots of options, but I mean, at least what I personally think, I think Google software and Samsung hardware is the best combination you can get, and I really I haven't been steered wrong with that combination yet, and I don't think I would choose any other combination besides that. Another thing happening with two different companies and hardware and software is, of course, Google and Motorola. Supposedly, work is finally progressing, and Google and Motorola are working on the X phone and tablet. So, of course, Google bought Motorola a little over. It's been a year and a half now, or 2 years even. It's been a while since Google bought it. It went through, however, it had to be accepted by everyone. So it went through a little bit less than a year now, I think. And the interesting part about that is, Google's been very cautious. I mean, they released the Nexus 4, 7, and 10, none of them being Motorola. So, however, now that the acquisition is pretty much complete and everything like that, it's curious to see if they will make a Google and Motorola device. Simply for the fact that if they are able to do this, then they have the ability to have a pure hardware and software experience, much like Microsoft Surface and like Apple's iPad. So this will be pretty interesting. I haven't cared for too many Motorola devices for a little bit of time. I was an original Droid 1 user, so I did have the Droid 1. I loved it. I thought the Droid X was okay. I thought the Droid Razr was better. I thought the Droid Razr Max was really the better one. But by that time, Samsung started kind of taking over the market in that realm. And Motorola only really pushed very hard when it came to Verizon. In AT&T, you had the Atrix, and in Sprint, you had the Photon, but they really concentrated mostly on Verizon. And I haven't seen anything too good come out of it. Obviously, I think the what was the original tablet? The Motorola Zoom wasn't that big of a success, obviously, for very obvious reasons. So it's curious to see what Google taking over will accomplish. I have a lot of faith in Google, so I think that they will make the best outcome they can with Motorola. So I'm really interested to see it. And remember when I told you that if we get the premium suite in the US, I would probably be the last one? Why is that? Well, it's simply because a new statistic came out on which carriers upgrade the quickest and which manufacturers upgrade the quickest. So, if you are looking for the quickest manufacturer to do an update, it was HTC, which was 4.8 months, but now because of the S3 updates in the US, these are US statistics for the update, of course. It would be Samsung now at 4.5 months. So in about 4.5 months, they get the update to all of their devices. Now, this is an average, so some got it in within a month, some got it within 2 months, as well as the HTC. Most of HTC phones, too, the ones that got the updates the quickest were the older devices, not necessarily the newer devices. Coming in third was Motorola. They came in third with 8.6 months, so not the quickest. Obviously, that should change with Google now owning them. And then the longest manufacturer update was LG. Sony was not involved in this statistic, but LG. Now, in terms of updates by carrier, it seems that T-Mobile is the quickest, followed by Sprint, which I actually find this curious because I think Sprint is starting to be even quicker than T-Mobile, and definitely showed with the last two Samsung devices. both the S3 and the Note 2 got their updates quicker than any other carrier. So I see a transitioning happening there. But basically, those two carriers are the quickest. And of course, third place is AT&T, giving you the updates 7.8 months later. And of course, last would be Verizon at 8 months later. So yes, carriers do not give us updates quick enough. That is easily to say. So, which is a shame, of course. Alright guys, now let's get to, let's see, should we get to rumor mill first or CES first? Let's get to the rumor mill first. So, first rumor mill, the 5th generation iPad is expected to launch in March still. So, even though we already got a new iPad, 4, that was 4, right? Yeah. New iPad 4, supposedly there's going to still be an iPad 5 in March. And it will take away from the look from the iPad mini. So that you're going to see like the backing kind of like the iPad mini in an iPad 5, full-size device. Now the interesting thing is if they will also release a mini at the same time, second generation, and of course changing the thing that they need to change, which is the Retina display. My guess is they will also up the price maybe $20. Just to make up for profit margin. If they're smart, Apple really needs to get back in profit margin because those sales aren't cutting it, so they need more profit margin. All right, another rumor mill that we get from a GL benchmark test, and that is the Samsung Galaxy Note 7-inch makes an appearance on a benchmark, and this code name is the N5100. Now this is pretty interesting because what we're getting from it is that it's a 1.6 quad-core Exynos processor. The resolution's a little disappointing, but 1280 by 800. I would think for next year we would get a little bit better quality, but I mean, if it was an AMOLED screen, I'd be happy with it. So it's pretty interesting to see how it would be if this would be the tablet, and it would be 4.1.2. So it's pretty interesting. It looks like they have like almost the same specs of the Note 2, but in a 7-inch version, which obviously I think would really sell and be a huge competitor to the iPad mini. The Note has gathered a good following, I feel, especially with the Note 2, and I think people, if they would market it, because keep in mind, Samsung has not marketed one tablet seriously compared to their phones. Their phone marketing is amazing, their tablet marketing is not. So if they would market this tablet as a 7-inch Note, I think it would take off and it would give the iPad mini a run for its money. Not only that, but you have other manufacturers such as Acer supposedly making a $100 tablet coming out next year. With a dual-core processor and all that. So budget tablets are going to keep going. I think the Note could be the high-end 7-inch on Android, and it has a very strong possibility of that. And I love my Notes devices, so I would be 100% behind it as well. And now let's go to CES. So two things we see that we will see at CES. One is Samsung teases that there will be a 5.5 flexible 720p display demoed at CES. Now, Samsung has had this flexible technology for a little while now, and I, for one, if you guys don't know, I'm hopefully going to go to CES this year, so I will be there, and I, for one, cannot wait to see this in person. Because this flexible technology is supposed to be like nothing we've ever seen in terms of quality. The screen is actually supposed to be better because it's without glass. And by the way they made it, it's supposed to be more LEDs per pixels and just look amazing. But not only that, it's supposed to be the first step towards a non-breakable phone. And I'll go more into it on how I think this could work in another video. But I think it's a really interesting technology that I, for one, cannot wait to see. Speaking of which, so that was a 5.5-inch screen, same as the Note 2. But someone has a new phablet out on the market. And that is Huawei displayed a 6.1-inch 1080p Ascend Mate, and that they said it should be at CES. This is pretty interesting. So it's a 1080p screen, which is kind of cool, but it's 6.1, and I, for one, am kind of interested to see how this feels in person. 6.1 is right between our 7-inch tablets that we have on the market and the 5.5 Note 2. Now the 5.5 Note 2, really, you can still put it in your pocket, no problem. I haven't seen the Note 2 not fit in someone's pocket. And I purposely always hand my Note 2 to anyone that I run into a store or anything like that. I'm like, just put it in your pocket, try it. Of course, I like stand guard by the door, but still, I say, and every time they're like, oh wow, it actually fits fine because it's so light and so thin. So it actually fits well. However, this device, I'm really curious because 9.9 is not as thin, and it's a little bit thicker, and the price tag is $480 in yen. So we're not sure if it's even going to come to the U.S. or not, but it's just really interesting to see this manufacturer step up. Huawei is a Chinese company that's coming into the U.S., so it's really kind of interesting to see what people are coming up with. And finally, on our last article, of course we have to end it with Samsung and Apple fighting again. So in our last article, Samsung is suing Apple for iPhone's notification center in Korea. So now it's unclear if Samsung is being borrowed the patent that Google is awarded for the notification panel, or if they have their own patent in that country somehow. But they are suing Apple over it, and I mean it's pretty clear that Apple did take the notification panel from Google. No matter what you say, it was on Google before it was even on jailbroken iPhones. So yeah. Alright guys, well that was the articles for this week. Hope you enjoyed Android Weekly, and let me know which articles you found interesting and which one you're kind of curious to see. Let me know. This has been RCKY, the Android Guy.